You're listening to Tehachapod with Key Budge, Corey Costello, and Greg Garrett.
Tehachapod time again. Key Budge, Greg Garrett, Corey Costello all together today. Gentlemen, how are you?
Good morning.
Wonderful. Excited about this show.
And today we've got Mike and Michelle Dorner in from Dorner Family Vineyards. Welcome, Mike and Michelle.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
This is something we probably mention on a daily basis, is our wine industry now. It's not just, hey, we've got a wine tasting room, or we've got vineyards, or we have a winery. We have a wine industry. What's the impact, Corey, that you see on the economic development side? We've got two of these entrepreneurs that are a part of this fabric.
Yeah, I think we've really seen, using our AI data, the impact of really expanding the trade area, because obviously with these wineries and wine tasting rooms being outside the city, everybody's got to filter through the city to get to them and then go back home if they're coming from outside the area or they're staying in a hotel. And so we're seeing a lot of traffic that happens when folks come up here, they're visiting one or two different tasting rooms, and then they're stopping and getting fuel on the way home, or they're stopping at Walmart or whatever. They're getting dinner in town. And so those things, we're starting to see that impact because of, so it's expanding the trade area because we're drawing in the nearby communities to come and visit the wineries and then spend a little money in town while they're here.
And then they get a chance to see our beautiful downtown, our beautiful city, our beautiful countryside. And they may think, you plant a seed, wow, I might want to live there someday. I might want to invest in that town someday or that community. So it's that whole prideful, respectful journey that we take through our lives.
It's quality of life, and this is part of that fabric. So as we kind of brag on you guys, and we only just said good morning, what was the inspiration to do what you're doing here and create this something that's now become an industry?
You're retired and you've got another job. Why would you do that?
And I'm busier now than I ever was.
It's like when we interviewed Bob Souza, the same question. It's that whole desire to, what was your desire?
It started out as a hobby. In 2009, we went to Europe for 3 months. While we were there, fell in love with the Riesling wine in Germany. So I figured, okay, I'll come back. And I've always been into horticulture. So I'll plant a few vines, and Michelle's parents liked white Zinfandel. So I planted some Zin and some Riesling. And then I met Bob and Patty Sousa, and they talked me into planting more vines and opening a tasting room.
That's how, and the rest is history, I guess. Are we done?
You go on vacation, you're inspired, you come back. Now, did you kind of know what the Sousas had done and thought, okay, grapes are going to do well here in Tehachapi, or did you just, I'm just going to plant them and see what the heck happens?
I figured I'm just going to plant them and see what happens.
Very much like Bob Sousa.
It's crazy, the 4,000 foot elevation. You wouldn't think, Tehachapi and grapes, wine, none of that. But voila, we have an AVA, a Viticulture Association, and the rest is history again. Yep. We keep rolling down that road.
What was your inspiration for so you did that part, but then opening the tasting room? Okay, this was the big lift, I guess you could say, because you all really went above and beyond what was sort of here already. You went with a amazing theme. Where the inspiration for that sort of Tuscan patio, all the stuff you guys have going on out there at Dorner Family Vineyards, where'd that all come from?
Our time that we spent in Italy, in the Tuscan region and stuff. And I've been doing construction since I was 9 years old with my dad. He was LAPD. I was retired sheriff. And I've always been told, do it right the first time because you'll never go back and fix it. And so Michelle and I sat down and started designing, and I drew the blueprints for it and then turned them into an engineer. And I arranged it on our property with all the huge oak trees that we have. I didn't want to have to tear anything down, and I wanted to look established, like it's been there for 100 to 300 years.
And it does. When you come around that corner, it's stunning.
I know people come up our bumpy dirt road and stuff, and they figure, where the heck am I going?
This can't be right. This stupid GPS. Yeah.
But then they round the corner and see the building and everything. But I just wanted that old world look to it.
Yes.
Well, you achieved it.
We fell in love with the little Tuscan villages when we were over in Italy, and we loved that architecture, the stone and the dark wood and all the warm colors. And I don't know, it must be Italy somewhere in our past Italian, but That's what we went with, and we were on the same page with the entire building, the arched windows and the old stone and the wrought iron. And so that's what inspired the design of the building.
So when Mike has got his creative juices going and he's getting inspired, what's your thoughts? Do you see this as a business coming?
Oh yes, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. And my part that I really wanted to have was a Tuscan-inspired gift shop with the gourmet kitchen items, and that people could come, that we didn't have anything like it in town. And so we have people coming out to the gift shop from all over, even just to shop at the gift shop. Even if they're not picking up wine, they come out to just purchase something at the gift shop. I have a lot of unique distributors I purchase from, so I'm very, very proud of the gift shop that we've incorporated in there. That was something that was really important, and to have nice event areas out there also. That's where the big Tuscan patio came into play, so that we could have big community events, private events, showers, anniversaries, birthday parties, things like that, and we have those on a weekly basis.
And you have
there.
the banquet center too.
And
How many does that hold?
Room. The banquet room holds about almost 70, and there's adjoining patios that hold another 30, and the Tuscan patio holds over 120 now. And so we have events scheduled every weekend, pretty much summertime, and then banquet room in the winter time. Yeah. So it's awesome. It's a space that people can come out and enjoy, and there's really nothing they need to do. They have the beautiful tables, and they don't need to be worrying about setting up tables and tablecloths and all that kind of thing. It's set ready to go for their events.
And the wine tasting room evolved.
Yep.
It did.
And what did you do, Mike? What was the next creative thought process here? Let's tell the folks, what's the difference between a wine tasting room and a winery?
Wine tasting room, they taste the wine there. They can have the vineyard, but the wine is processed someplace else. Paso Robles, Santa Clarita, a winery, the grapes are grown there or not, but you can purchase the grapes. But the wine is made on site at our facility. We were the first winery in the Tehachapi area that actually produced our own wine.
It's a full experience.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes, and people refer to that a lot. They say we don't feel like we're just visiting a tasting room. We feel like we're having an experience. We hear that repeatedly. So that's quite a compliment. That's quite a compliment.
And you talked about designing the patio and everything around the oak trees, and you mentioned the patio space. How much because I really felt like, especially during all the COVID restrictions and all that stuff, that the Tehachapi wine industry actually sort of benefited because of places like yours that had a giant outdoor patio that most people wanted to taste wine outside anyway because your patio was under oak trees. The weather was fairly mild compared to like a Paso Robles where it was very hot in the summertime. It just seemed like the wineries were so busy during restricted times because of your outdoor spaces, and it seemed to benefit and really help put Tehachapi sort of on the map as a tasting destination.
Yes. We actually opened right in the middle of COVID. We opened in June of 20, and so it was right at the beginning when everything was shutting down, and we were incredibly busy, more than we ever even imagined, because we have all the outdoor space, and people could feel free to go sit over in the corner by themselves, just a couple here and a couple there. We were incredibly fortunate to have such a large space, and people felt very safe coming out and felt that they could still, experience the tasting room, but still feel safe. So that was absolutely wonderful.
And some people want to experience that anyway. If you have your significant other, you want to sometimes just sit in the corner and chat,
Absolutely,
and just
absolutely.
be left alone.
And that's what we have. We have lots of little off corners and spaces where people can feel it's just the two of them.
My wife and I are members of your wine club.
Okay.
And it's always fun. So we love to drink your wine. We love to get your cheese and crackers, and then my wife always buys something at the gift store there.
Yes.
You always have such neat items.
Well, I know that for my wife, Chris, and I, whenever we get the opportunity, whether we're going to Dorner Family Vineyards or one of our other wine tasting rooms, it's date night, so we get a chance to just relax and do that. And then we'll also go out with friends, and we have the group interaction. So it fits all vibes. Mm-hmm. Yes. And that's part of it that I think that is so relaxing and peaceful. And Chris will always tell me, it's like, we were just coming out to have a glass of wine. 3 hours later, we've just relaxed so much and
Yes.
enjoyed the atmosphere. It takes us to someplace else.
And that's the beauty of a wine tasting room, or even a brewery, that we have, it's not, you're not going to a bar.
Yeah.
Right.
You're having a different experience. You're having that social interaction, and you're enjoying something that somebody created as well. So it's a lot different than just going out to a bar and having a drink.
But it's that experience. And it's like when I say I'm there 2-3 hours, it's not I've, consumed an entire bottle of wine myself. It's part of taking in, the cheese boards and the
music.
And the
music.
music.
The
And-
talent that you're bringing, the local
Yes.
talent, and sometimes
Yes.
talent from outside, but the talent, somebody just strumming a guitar in the corner, that is really cool.
Yeah, people love they love the live music. We have like all day Saturday and all day Sunday, and they come out, they follow our musicians, they come out whenever they know that they're on the schedule again, and so it's a facet that the guests really love.
And occasionally you serve food, is that right? It's like a dinner?
Yes,
So
we
you
do.
can have a nice dinner and wine and just really, it's a staycation.
It is.
It's a staycation in
Yes.
Tehachapi for
That's,
an
that's
afternoon.
one of the reasons why when I was designing it, we'd been to other wineries in Paso and up in Napa and in Europe and stuff that they had kitchens in them. And we had to fight tooth and nail to be able to get that kitchen put into the winery.
I remember you working with the county on that, yeah.
And we had to go through, Michelle researched all the different counties on how many of them had a kitchen in it and were able to serve food, because being 12 miles out of town, people come out there and they'll have a couple glasses of wine, they start getting hungry. Yeah, we've got the charcuterie boards, but if they have to go all the way back into town to get something to eat, they're less likely to end up going back out to the wineries and stuff. So we wanted to get that put in there, that we could keep the public out there and they could enjoy a good meal and everything. Like this weekend, I'm doing tri-tip sandwiches and stuff for.
I've had your
Sunday.
tri-tips. They're yummy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very popular.
And I know we've had some special dinners. My wife and I have gone to, I don't know if it was Valentine's or New Year's, or maybe we've done both.
Yes, both I think.
But you did lasagna, and I thought one of the cool things is that you used your own wine in the making of the food. So the wine gets integrated back into the food.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I make all my own sauce and everything, and I'm the cook.
Yeah, so you'll see Mike coming in and out of the kitchen.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's crazy to see the sort of micro economy that's been created by the wine growers, and then even throwing the breweries in there as well. Because Greg brought up the music piece. So we have these artists now. We also have food vendors, which you guys sometimes do your own food. You also sometimes bring in vendors. Those vendors now are so busy between all the different wineries, the different breweries. They bounce around. They can stay in Tehachapi, or a lot of cases come up to Tehachapi for the weekend and work a bunch of events. To where in the past, we didn't have catering companies and catering trucks and that sort of thing. Those people didn't have a business here. Now they do, because of what the offerings that you all have at your places of business.
Yes.
So it's been great to see that economy between musicians and even cooks sort of blossom out of what you guys do.
Yes.
And to even further that, it's created additional support industries with Discover Tehachapi and Old Vineyard Charm, and part of the industry word. What does that feel like when you all of a sudden see these secondary businesses that help complement what you're doing?
Oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Right.
We love the tour buses coming out and highlighting Tehachapi and the different things to do in Tehachapi, and then we're one of the stops in addition to the other wineries or other breweries, and it's wonderful. It's something that's been needed for many years, and we're so happy to have two of them now, actually right here in town.
And the visitor center, they promote,
Yes.
not just the wineries and breweries, but all of Tehachapi. There's so much to see here. I remember when I was a kid in the late 70s, early 80s, Paso Robles was just trying to find its way, and of course, now Paso is a big deal. We never want to be Paso. We want to be Tehachapi forever.
Yes.
It really transforms when you have an AVA, when you have wineries, breweries, beautiful restaurants like we have downtown. You talk about some people staying at your winery and eating dinner, but some of them actually come back to town and they'll have a nice dinner in town. And so that whole symbiotic, it's a perfect kind of machine. The gears are just kind of clicking along.
Yes.
And we're helping each other. It's like making certain that the county is healthy. The cities in our region are healthy. We cannot be healthy alone. You cannot be a pillar
No.
that's healthy. You have to have all of your neighbors healthy, your neighborhood,
Yes.
your business districts, all of that. And you guys are really leaders in that. So thank you.
I think really to expand on that a little bit with the Paso Robles. I've been to Paso Robles and done tastings. I've been to Napa and done tastings and that kind of stuff. I almost feel like those places are so big and there's a lot of big labels up there, right? And so it gets very commercialized and you kind of, yes, there's a lot of great smaller ones out there, but the big guys, they dominate the marketplace. What's nice about Tehachapi is we don't have the big guys. We have, like you talked about, Mike, going up your bumpy dirt road.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's just part of it. Those are the best wineries. If
Well, that's where you find the jewel.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
That's where you find the jewel.
I mean, there's still places in Paso Robles a few times I've been, and you're like, I'm going up this bumpy dirt road, and then, wow, what a great, you find a great winery in the back. So that, I think, is the character of the Tehachapi region, the Tehachapi Mountain AVA, is we don't have the big guys, the big commercial folks. We've got a lot of people like Mike and Michelle doing this and creating a great product in return.
At least 4, you've got to go down a dirt road to get to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that definitely speaks to Tehachapi. And I know when I tell people how to get to your place, I go, when you see the cattle guard across the roadway.
And the
cattle
prison
guard-
to the right.
Yeah. What's a cattle guard? I go, okay. And you start to explain it. And then it's like, okay. And then look for the flags and you'll see it. And they go, oh, okay. Yeah. But it's Tehachapi. As we, like I said, we don't want to be Paso Robles, but it's definitely, we have our own unique personality, the character and charm. And each of our wine tasting rooms, vineyards, is different.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I think that's, what's it like? These are different businesses, but I know that you guys talk to each other.
Oh, yeah.
What kind of relationships do you have with the other, wine tasting rooms?
We have wine growers commission group that we all meet every month or two, and we just bounce ideas off of each other and help tackle problems and issues that we each might be having regarding whether it's growing grapes or tasting room issues or, whatever. It's just, it's somebody that's in your industry that you can talk to that understands the things that you are going through and things that you're encountering. All of us, we're all businesses. We all have our independent businesses, but we all have the same wants and needs also.
And if you look at the data, and I've seen it between it's like a 50%. There's a split. Everybody goes to one and goes to another. Or
Absolutely.
they'll start. I see, especially with Dorner and Triassic, that relationship. There is a half will start at Triassic and go to Dorner. Half
Yes.
will start at Dorner and go to Triassic immediately following the trip.
Yes.
So there's a lot of share because when you do make the trip to Tehachapi, if you're going to drive an hour plus, especially get out to the tasting rooms in the Cummings Valley region, you're invested a little bit, so you want to spend a little bit of time. Locals, for us, we could pick one maybe for the afternoon. People want to invest a little bit of time, and so they end up going with 2 or 3 of them, and they visit from one to the other, and they all kind of share the audience. So it's super important with the tourists.
The bummer is you close at 6.
Well,
I'm just
Again, it's not a bar.
I always,
Greg.
I always say what I'm thinking.
it's not a bar.
No, certainly no, but
and it's not Europe.
But the evenings in Tehachapi are so beautiful.
Yes.
They are.
Yes.
And I've never been kicked out ever.
No. We do some special events during the summer where we stay open later. We do have those.
Yeah.
We've got the ladies' night
occasionally.
coming up, and we've already got 60 ladies lined up.
So that's an evening event.
Nice,
That's a
fun.
lot of
So
fun.
there's still 40 some odd spots still open.
Those are a lot of
That's
fun.
the benefit of knowing usually the owners and the staff is when, closing time doesn't really apply to you. And they usually want to hang out and have a few
For the
classes
most
after
part.
you're done. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Saturday or Sunday we didn't get out of there till like 8:30.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Well, our staff,
you
our
live-
staff stays
But
out.
you
commute-
live right there.
Your
so-
commute is short. Yeah.
do.
Is that tough though to have because you don't really have a separation between your personal home and your business, which is literally your backyard. Is that hard to unplug, or is it just like we're all in, we're going to be, we're focusing on this 24/7?
We try to, once we leave there on Sunday, we try not to come back down to the tasting room until maybe Tuesday. So, we're always popping back in there. It's just an extension of our home. It really is. It's just an extension of our home. So we love that. We love it. We love the building. I love coming in when it's all quiet, before all the guests get there. So we really do love it. So,
but you have some other projects going on too, right? You're building some cottages.
Yes.
So there's something to do there rather than just sit around.
2 weeks ago, we poured the concrete for 2 of the cottages. Then we're going to I'll start building those at the end of July or middle of July. And then this fall, before it gets cold, we're going to pour the concrete for the next 2. And if the winter's mild enough, we'll get started on those. Otherwise, spring.
So 4 cottages. What does that mean?
Yeah.
People can come out, and instead of having to get a hotel or drive back home, whatever, we stayed at places in Napa, Paso, and Europe and stuff that you're right there. You can go down to the winery, and our cottages are going to have a small kitchenette in it that people can actually bring their own food and cook it right there. They'll have a refrigerator and everything like that. Queen-size bed, a little living room area with an electric fireplace. We're going to put pellet stoves in. The smallest one they have is the one that's in our tasting room. And just with keep the flame going, it would burn people out of there because they generate so much heat and stuff. So we figured we're going to do like in a fifth wheel where they've got the electric ones with the flames and stuff.
I've seen those,
but that way you can set the thermostat.
Yeah.
And so instead of being 90 degrees in there, you can set it for your 72 degrees or whatever.
So people can come out and hang out and the winery, and they have their own little cottage, and what a neat idea.
Yes.
And then in the bedroom, there's a sliding glass door there that each cottage is going to have its own little private patio. And then I'm going to be setting up a gazebo type thing with a barbecue and chairs and stuff up there that people can go up there if they want to barbecue steaks or whatever when they're there.
Michelle, what's your favorite wine that you produce?
The Riesling.
Well, you mentioned that in the very beginning.
Yep.
And
Yep.
Mike?
It's between Riesling and the new one I've got is Albarino that I got the grapes and just took a silver medal with both of them. But
So we've got award-winning wines.
award-winning
yes.
wines.
So what's the Albarino exactly? I mean, I'm kind of a wine moron, but what is it?
White Spanish grape.
Okay.
And it's new and up and coming. I found a vineyard in the coastal area that grows it. And I got a ton of grapes this last year and produced a pallet of wine. We just started selling it in April, and I only have like 20 cases left.
So
Wow.
for the viewer, you grow grapes, but you also purchase grapes. So you went to the Central Coast, you purchased 1 ton of grapes, you trucked it back to Tehachapi to your winery, and you processed those grapes into wine that you bottled, and now you're selling.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We purchase probably upwards of 10 tons a year from all over California.
What is 10 tons? Does that equate to how many bottles of wine?
10 tons would produce 1,400 gallons of wine approximately at 5.2 bottles of wine per gallon.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
right off the top of his head, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
But you've done it before, so.
What was I mean, you know the stuff off the top of your head now, what was the learning curve like? Because, when we talked to Bob Sousa, he's like, I don't know, I just started doing stuff. So, was it the same? You just sort of kind of got other people's info and just sort of worked towards knowing things?
I read a lot of books on it and stuff. And like I said, I'm into the horticulture thing. And so putting in the vineyard was a lot of work, but it was fun. And learning how to make the wine, I made some mistakes. That's part of the game and everything. I had to throw away 100 gallons of wine one time.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, don't throw it away.
Oh, yes.
It wasn't that good.
It was
I don't want to
good.
sell a product that
Yes, for
isn't
sure. Quality.
Yeah.
I understand.
And what happened was that when it started fermenting, we had a vacation plant. And producing the wine, you have to stir it 2 to 3 times a day to keep the yeast up in the wine and the skins and everything. Otherwise, it'll start getting sulfur dioxide, smelling like sulfur, and start turning to vinegar. And what happened was that being gone wasn't getting stirred. It was like my first year doing it. And when we got back, I tasted it and it didn't taste right. I tried fixing it because you can do it, but I don't like having to do that because you have to add copper sulfate to it and charcoal.
Just
and
chasing a problem.
Yes. And so the biggest best thing is just don't do that.
So, back in the day, who figured that out?
Exactly.
I mean, honestly, it's like an
Exactly.
olive. Who figured out you have to put an olive in what is it, vinegar to be able to eat it or something? I'm not sure. You can't eat an olive off a tree.
It was probably monks. Monks probably figured it out because they do a lot of brewing.
Okay, let's take some grapes, let's put them in a vat, and let's do this. And this is no good. Maybe if we try stirring it. I mean, how many decades and centuries did it take?
Anyone
to
think about
figure
shaking it?
Yeah. Or maybe you get an automatic stir. Do the big guys have stirring systems that just stir the wine? Or
They do
or
pump
roll
over.
it.
What they do is pump overs. They hook a pump up to the bottom of the tank. It pumps the wine up and puts it back on to keep the skins and seeds and stuff moist.
So this is before you put it in a wine barrel.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's in some big vat.
Correct.
That it has to do
Yeah,
its thing first.
Yes.
White wine, you're just taking the juice. So we get the grapes in, we crush them, destem them, and then press the juice off. I put it in a tank, let it settle overnight to get the sediments out, pump that clean wine off, juice, into a tank, and then add my yeast. There's like 50 different types of yeast, if not more, that I can purchase, and I research them all on what flavors I want them to give, because different yeast give different flavors, whether more fruit forward or spiciness or whatever in it. And then the fermentation on the white wine, I do it at 50 to 55 degrees, and that's why my whites are so floral smelling and tasteful.
They are too.
Because they're not fermented at a higher temperature. And I've got a glycol system on there that keeps it at a certain temperature. Then once the fermentation is done, then I can start my filtering and everything on it. And white wine has proteins in it that if it gets hot, if anybody's ever seen a bottle of wine that gets kind of a little cloudy in it, they weren't heat stabilized enough. And the proteins that are in there will turn white, and that's what you see. The wine is still perfectly fine, tastes good, everything. It's just not as appealing. So you have to put bentonite clay into the wine, and it's positively charged and the proteins are negatively. So it bonds and the proteins drop out, and then you filter it off, and that's how you get your wine. So it
I
stays
think
clear.
you should, Mike, you should teach at Saracosa how to make wine.
But now
we should start a course.
Now I'm gonna go and drink one of his glasses of white, and I'll be like, I got some hints of Benedzine clay.
Oh, that's a
I'm gonna people are like, this guy really knows his wine. No
Anyone
idea.
knows Corey, that's the way he does. He repeats things and like, oh, I'm really smart. Let me tell
Exactly.
you something.
Oh,
I just learned it 10 minutes ago.
Hints
but,
of clay. It must be the negatively charged proteins. I'm all over it now.
But the red wines, we get the grapes in the 4 foot by 4 foot bins. So we crush them, the juice and skins goes back into those bins, and I ferment it right in those bins on the skins, and that's what brings out the tannins and the dark color in it.
So I'm going to make you guys a little jealous. I've actually toured his winemaking cellar, so I know exactly what he's talking about.
I was just going to ask that, Mike, do you do behind the scene tours?
Every once in a while I do, yes. If I've got time. Lately I've been so darn busy that
When he's not cooking or building a cottage or
well, right now the vines are growing 2 to 6 inches a day, so I'm out there training them and pruning them back and pulling leaves, because if there's too many leaves on, it's a real science that
You want the juice to go to the grape, not the leaf.
no, it's not that. If there's
want
too
some
many
sun,
leaves,
right?
the air can't get through, and then powdery mildew can set in. So you have
Well,
to
there's so
spray 'em
much
with
wind
sulfur.
in Tehachapi. It doesn't seem like that'd be a problem.
I remember taking a tour
It
of
is.
Sculpterra in the Paso Robles area, and some of the kids they had working there from, I think it was Cal Poly, they took us out and they showed us those things in the vineyard, and they're like, okay, we've got to pin the leaves back because sunlight, air, we don't want too many. And it really was. They had to literally
It is.
kind of be tedious with the vines. It was amazing.
It is. It's like, I liken it to training a child. You have to get in there when they're very young and very tiny and guide them in the right direction. And then they turns out beautiful.
I haven't seen your vineyard this year, last month or so, unfortunately, but the Stray Leaves vineyard, the vines on Highline.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes, yes.
Amazing. And
Yes.
we talk about, other businesses. We have Stray Leaves that hopefully will open this summer with their tasting room on downtown on Green Street. And then Bodega di Castello, I think I've just butchered that. Castillo.
It's not mine. It's not my business. I have
Over
nothing to do with it.
on North Green, a wine tasting room also.
Oh.
So we continue to kind of spur additional businesses, which is great.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, and that facility actually that Greg just talked about, they kind of had a similar backstory. They traveled Europe and really liked the little bodegas, and they wanted to do something where they're not gonna make their own wine or anything, but they're gonna have some stuff available.
Yeah.
People can get some small items, something and taste a few things, and so it's a cool concept, but
Yeah, I
sort of
understand
inspired
that.
by travel like you guys were.
Yes, very much so.
Well, let's find out a little bit more about the awards. It's not just one time you've won awards. You're multiple award winning.
Yes.
Yes.
What wines are receiving these acknowledgments?
My Riesling usually takes either a silver or gold almost every year. Vignettes have taken silvers. I've taken 10 or 12 bronze medals so far, 6 or 7 silver medals, and a couple of gold medals.
And recently in Orange County, you received, what, 7 awards?
8.
8.
I entered in the 8 wines that we just bottled, entered them in. I was hoping for 2 or 3 medals, and 10:30 at night, the results came out, and I'm going through it and started counting them up, and more and more and more. And when I got to the last one, I ended up, every wine I entered in, I took a medal.
Nice.
Congratulations.
I took 3 silvers and 5 bronze medals.
I'm not surprised.
And those are all done, I assume, like via blind taste tests to the judges. They don't know it's coming from you until after the fact?
Absolutely.
After the fact,
Okay,
yes.
good, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's awesome.
People that love going out wine tasting, I think that's probably a big deal.
I think it just shows the region as a whole is a very viable wine growing region.
And quality wine.
Quality wines coming out of this region. Triassic takes medals. Mike Chen at Tehachapi Winery, we all take medals, and it shows, that we do have quality wines up here. Come up here, we're not just a bunch of little, podunk wineries thinking that we're making wine up here. We really are making good wine up here in Tehachapi.
Well, I've said it before.
So-
Tehachapi is maturing nicely. I know Art 2022.
Yes.
You hosted the artists that came to town, and we
Yes.
have. That's a big deal, right? We have artists. We have amazing artists here locally already, and
Yes.
have had for
Yes.
many years. But now we're looking for kind of national and even international. Same thing is happening in the winery. So you guys are
Absolutely.
joining forces once
Yes.
again, right?
Yes.
Rising tide floats all boats.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's another reason we built that the giant Tuscan patio, so we can host events like that for the community. And it was a wonderful, lovely night. We did it last year also, and so it's something that we look forward to every year, having the artists come out and highlight the Tehachapi area in paintings.
Good stuff.
And I saw you're going to be hosting a stargazing party, or is that a part of a private event?
That's part of Discover Tehachapi, one of the tours. They're going to come out in August. There's 2 dates scheduled, and they're going to be coming out and doing a private tour of the processing area with barrel tastings, and then we're going to be making a tri-tip dinner, and then they're going to be doing a stargazing party with local astronomers throughout the evening. So it's very exciting. They're taking signups for that right now.
I love these different types of things that we're doing to incorporate. I mean,
Yes.
part of, with bringing the music. I don't remember going to in another region and having a little bit of entertainment to go along with. Usually you do your tastings,
Yes.
and you choose if you want to purchase a bottle or not, or move on to the next, tasting room or winery. But here, you've got something more than what you find in other regions. And I think that really says something about this Tehachapi Mountain, AVA designation we have, and what you guys have done as entrepreneurs to make it an experience.
Each winery, each tasting room does their own events. They all have unique things they do. There's comedy nights, there's concerts, there's wine pairing dinners. I mean, each winery and tasting room does their own unique events. So it draws different people to different wineries. You can whatever your interest is, you can find it somewhere.
Lots of choices. You don't work against
Lots
each
of-
other. You
no,
work with each
There's
other.
a lot of different things that are going on up here.
And I think Tehachapi has to do, in everything we do, in order to compete, we have to do it a little bit differently to draw attention because of
Yes.
our size and that sort of thing. And I think you all have done a great job of doing things a little differently than what you would get if you went and tasted another wine region in the state. So it's very commendable, and that's something I think that's helped everybody is willingness to do that music or the special event and that sort of thing, which you normally wouldn't have at a tasting experience. So it's very cool.
Yes, thank you.
And I know recently here in the summer, the wine slushy
Oh, yes.
has been introduced.
Oh, yeah.
I have never had a wine slushy. I'm intrigued.
Okay.
But I just
Okay,
is
if you watch my wife, and if we go out with friends, it seems like the women are much smarter than us, and they go over and I'll take the is it 2 different?
Oh, we have 2 different varieties each weekend, and we have about 7 varieties in total. So you can always get something different.
You know what? Pickleball and wine slushies. Does this guy know how to party or what?
I'm gonna start hanging with Key on the weekends.
We try. Sure. What's the future? You've got the cottages, but what other vision do you have? Are you going to add any other varieties, or are we set now with what you've now got on the market?
The vineyard I have said I'm so busy that I do all the pruning, all the picking. Michelle and I do the picking and stuff, and spraying, taking care of it all year long. Half an acre of vines is plenty for me. I'd rather buy quality grapes from another vineyard, and that's why I'm hoping that in the near future more people want to plant vines up here.
Grow up here.
Just to grow.
Grow
and sell
up
them.
here. Oh,
Yeah,
I
that's
like
right.
that. How you just threw the up in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And that way I can purchase so that I can still put Tehachapi Mountains on it. Because when I buy from other vineyards, other counties and stuff, I can only put California on it.
Interesting.
Gotcha.
You know, the city of Tehachapi is in the AVA, the
Yes.
viticulture
Yes, it
area.
is.
Yes.
So I'm waiting for, and I'm encouraging someone in the city to plant a vineyard in their backyard and maybe sell you those grapes.
Yeah.
Or just donate them to you, right?
Well, I know when I come out, I always have a tough choice. It's either going to be the red blend, or
I love the red blend.
or the
No,
Cabernet.
I'm with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a red
Yeah.
guy. You go to some wineries and it's like, oh, we're reds.
Right.
You guys are reds and whites
And sweets.
and sweets.
Yeah, we have like 30 varieties.
Wow.
And we make about 15 of them right now. So we're making half of our wines. That was one of our ultimate goals, was to produce at least half of our wines.
That's the nice thing, being the winemaker, I can purchase whatever varietal that I want. And so I'm looking right now at Malbec, and the Petite Syrah that I just produced turned out so well that it took a bronze medal. And I'm looking at Tanat, whatever variety. And I contact the vineyard managers and see how much tonnage they have extra if they're going to be selling it and stuff. And so I'm lining grapes up right now.
Do the guys, the vineyard owners in the Santa Clarita Paso Robles, are they supportive of what's happening in Tehachapi, or do they feel like it's a threat?
No, they
So they're
don't.
supportive. That's
Yes.
the
Yes.
answer I was hoping for.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
No.
we had a winery owner from Temecula come up a couple of months ago, and he loved my wine and everything, gave me his card and said, next time you're down in Temecula, come on by and see me and stuff, and I'll let you taste my wines.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think there's certain industries too. There's plenty of meat on the bone. There's
lots
plenty
of
of wine in the
room.
glass.
Lots of room.
There's
Yeah.
and I think it helps too when you have those collaborations between people doing the same thing as you, whether it's in the AVA or outside. There could be something that he's going to learn from you guys, or something you can learn
Yes.
from him,
Sure.
and make both your businesses better. So that's always going to be. It's great to have that network of people that are in the industry, but maybe in a different region, because I think everybody's going to benefit from something that they have to say or even see. So it's very cool to hear that.
Well, that's how I learned, is that I went to a few winemaker conferences and talked to the different winemakers, and if I had questions, I could ask them and stuff, and it helped my processing and quality of the wines that I've been turning out and everything.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So out there, Dorner Family Vineyards, and you get a chance, because you guys are very active and you're talking to people and you're great hosts at making people feel welcome. Can you tell with the people that attend how many are local and how many are coming from out of the area?
It's about half and half. We have a
Yeah.
lot of new people coming out every weekend. Oh, I saw you on Facebook, and here we are. I'm out from Antelope Valley. There was a lot during COVID when we opened. LA County was a lot more shut down than Kern County was. So we naturally gained a ready base of customers from that. And so there was a lot of exposure for that, but then we still have just people coming left and right from out of the area, realizing that they can drive barely an hour to get to us instead of driving 3 hours over to Paso or Santa Barbara or something like that. They're really realizing how convenient it is. We're right in their backyard.
Are you seeing those as return customers?
Oh, absolutely.
And then they're bringing
Absolutely.
family members up.
Yes.
So
Yes.
my cousin Joe's visiting from Texas or whatever, or from down in LA, and we wanted something to do today, so we figured we'd come up, and we love your place, so
Yes.
we brought him up here to try your wines and everything.
Well,
we get that every
my
weekend.
daughter was recently married, engaged a year ago, and when her family, his family, came from Michigan, what's the first thing we did? We went to Dorner's and we hung out to get to know the new in-laws.
Oh, awesome.
So we were sitting there with a large table and had several bottles of wine in a big group, and that's where we really got to know our
Yes.
new family members.
Yes,
It was
oh,
a great time.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
We have lots of experiences like that. We have lots of experiences. People coming out with their family and just hanging out for the day, and it's wonderful.
Well, I think we can thank Bob and Patty Souza.
Absolutely.
Chuck
Absolutely.
McCullough, you know,
Yes.
the pioneers. Thank you. The pioneers of this industry. They just
Absolutely.
started this whole
Yes, they
positive journey that we're on now.
Yes,
It's
they
amazing.
did.
Thank you, Bob, Patty, and Chuck.
Yes.
And many others.
And what has their mentorship been like? Because I think there probably has been a mentorship,
yes.
if there was.
Yes,
yeah, Bob and
that's-
Patty, they've been fantastic.
They
They
were-
really have. They were just out this last weekend.
When we first met them, when we planted our hobby vineyard and we would go out and visit them out at Sousa, I would always bring a little notepad with me because every time Bob opened his mouth, there would be like little pearls of wisdom falling out.
And a joke at the same time.
And a joke.
Yeah. And a joke.
But I would be writing these down, things that he didn't even know were important. We didn't know what we didn't know at that point. And so any little tidbits of information that he would even just speak of on a regular basis that he didn't even think was important, I'm scribbling them down in a notebook so that we make sure that we're, trying to come up to their standard, what they already had built.
It's a wine community. I keep saying industry, but this is a wine community. This is much tighter than, there's a business aspect.
Yeah.
Yes.
But this is a community. This is, and you embrace other businesses, and it's a success story for everyone when you're successful. So I'm super proud of it.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me too.
I'm not surprised that obviously both, Mike and Michelle and Dorner has done so well, but I'm not surprised that the whole region has done so well in a very short amount of time. If we really look back on it from when Bob and Patty started, but then when we really started gaining traction with the AVA, the tasting rooms, getting everybody open, I'm not surprised, but I'm very happy that it's gone so quickly and we've captured a market, and it's pretty
And
awesome.
the
to see.
investments and the improvements. I was at Tehachapi Winery last weekend, and they're making improvements inside. They're talking about a tasting room that they're going to build outside. So continually, we have investment in our community, and
Yes.
you guys are leading that effort.
Yeah.
Continuous investment.
We've mentioned the AVA a couple times, but we didn't ask you, what did that designation mean for you as business owners?
It's once the AVA is established and stuff, now we're known as a wine growing industry worldwide. So it put us on the map. We were in Buellton wine tasting a few months ago and in Paso and at the wineries and stuff. Telling me I'm a winemaker up in Tehachapi. Oh yeah, we heard the AVA went through and stuff, and congratulations and everything. So it's unique because the Tehachapi area, most vineyards are 500 to 1,500 foot elevation. Tehachapi, ours is at 4,300 foot. It's either Ilda's or us that were the highest commercial wine vineyard in the state of California.
Wow. Okay.
And they don't hand out the AVA designations lightly. No, it's not like you throw a few vines in the ground
you
and
can't
they
just
throw it at
say,
you.
yeah, put that on your business card, and it's done.
It's a huge process. You have to kind of show against all odds why you are a very special winemaking region, and with us being at a higher elevation and the wind factor. The notebook we had to turn in was like 3 inches thick with data and materials and scientific
And
studies.
studies,
Just studies galore.
And it was processed through the Department of Treasury. I know,
Yes.
shout out to Congressman McCarthy's office for really assisting us through that period of time. It took a couple of years.
It took a few years, and it's a very important designation once we
I tell
received
people
it.
it literally was an act of Congress. It was
it
an act
literally-
of Congress.
it is.
The ATF, I think they call themselves that anymore, but they were involved in the studies. There was geological studies. There
Yes.
were wind surveys and all kind.
Julie Dell did all that.
Yeah.
and
Yes.
all on her own and stuff. And
Amazing.
she worked her tail off for us.
It took a lot to get it. So when we finally got it, but we're recognized now. We're recognized now as not just a bunch of these little vineyards. We're really with all the, and especially all the medals that everybody had won. That really played into it. We're not just growing grapes here. We really have quality grapes.
It was a nice
wines.
nod. Nice
Yes,
nod.
Very much so.
We recognize the fact that you guys work very hard and enjoy just what a comfortable experience when you go out. I don't know how else to describe it. I enjoy it. We come away peaceful.
That makes me very happy to hear that. That's exactly the atmosphere we want to convey.
That's why the musicians that we hire, we don't want them blaring. We've been places that
very low.
you can't hear yourself talk.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's a great experience. If you haven't tried it, we encourage you to do it. Michelle, How can people follow what's going on with your social media, your website?
Yes, follow us on Instagram, Facebook. I do an update every Wednesday, what's coming up for the weekend. When we've got events, I post those and boost those like 3-4 weeks ahead. So it lets you know what's coming up if there's a special event you want to sign up for. We have several really big events during the year, and people always say, well, how do I find out about them? Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. That is our advertising.
So what's your handle?
Dorner Family Vineyard.
Okay.
Dorner Family Vineyard for both of them.
And then website?
DornerFamilyVineyard.com.
Easy enough.
Or follow Mike Dorner on Facebook. And
So, Mike, do you put out anything different? Do we get behind the winemaker
No.
kind of photos or things like that? Because I can see it. I can see you can have your own little personality page,
maybe eventually. But whatever Michelle posts, then I go on 70 different groups that I belong to. Everything from Las Vegas to Santa Barbara and from San Diego to Fresno. I post on those groups and stuff. And when people come into the winery, we ask them, how'd you hear about us? Oh, we saw you on Facebook. It's working.
Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you'd like to share with the listening folks?
Oh, that really
It's been a great conversation.
I think we covered
Thank you
quite
for
a
coming
bit.
in. The only problem is you didn't bring a bottle of wine.
I know. We usually do.
Actually, we couldn't accept it, but we'll just have to go out there this weekend and have some sort of a meeting or something.
Exactly.
How's that sound?
There you go.
Dorner Family Vineyards, that's been our topic today, as we want to highlight each of our wine tasting rooms and our vineyards and our wineries. And you are the first winery, so we wanted to have you guys in here first. Bob Souza, the wine guy, in a couple of months ago, and Bob kicked it off as he should, as being the pioneer of it all. But we're so happy, you guys, that we were able to get our schedules to match and to have you in to share this, because people want to hear the behind the scenes. And I do think that you've got another social media page, and following the winemaker.
Yeah.
Well,
I should do that. We should do
and just
that.
start snapping photos of Mike when he's out there, trimming leaves and pinning things back and pulling the wine thief out of the barrel, to do those special samples. I want to see behind the scenes stuff.
Stirring is very important.
That's right.
Stirring is very
I
important.
think I should just invent a stirrer and sell it to you, and then I could retire and get rich. My goodness, it seems so simple.
All right. Well, thank you both for
you.
coming in. Enjoyed the conversation. Guys, anything else in closing?
I think we're good.
Wrap it up?
Thank you guys for coming in. Appreciate
Thank
the
you.
time.
All right, folks, if you've got a question for Mike or Michelle, you can send it to us at media@tehachapicityhall.com. We'll get it to them. You can follow them on Instagram, on Facebook, at Dorner Family Vineyards, or go to their website, dornerfamilyvineyard.com. Lots of information that you'll find there. And we just appreciate your time, and we'll catch you again here real soon on Tehachapod.
Tehachapod is a conversation about Tehachapi designed for the people who live here or who would like to know more about this mountaintop community. If you have a question you would like answered, email media@tehachapicityhall.com. We will try to answer it on a future episode of Tehachapod.